Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast, where we will explore the cause and effect of just saying yes in your everyday life or in business. I will dig into topics that are not just stimulating, but will challenge you to be better in everything you do. The podcast is based on the simplicity of saying yes to opportunities you might encounter every single day. I'm your host, Jim Riley. Join me in my first series titled Blue Collar Redefined. Hello and welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast. My name is Jim Riley and I am the host of the show, and I'm having a good time. Hey, thank you so much for listening to our shows. The numbers continue to climb and we really appreciate you listening. Thank you for that and your support. If this is your first show, you can go to iTunes and subscribe and download the shows on a weekly basis. We're doing our best to get some good guests in here, somebody that you can enjoy or maybe learn something different. So here we are. Man, I just had a long, relaxing, do-nothing Memorial weekend. And I don't know what Memorial weekend means to you. I personally have not lost anybody in the military that I'm aware of. My grandfather's 93 years old, and he's a veteran. I do appreciate his service. His name is Jacqueline Scott, and he spends a lot of time going to public schools and talking about life during World War II. But I haven't lost anybody that served and was lost during wartime. I did lose my father a few years ago, and he served in the Vietnam War. So anyways, nice, relaxing Memorial weekend. I hope you had the same. Baja United continues to march along, and there's been a lot of interest. If you remember, if you follow along our story, last year we had a crowdfund campaign on Start Engine, which is a crowdfunding platform. It's startengine.com. We raised $250,000 to start the business and launch Baja United Group Wines. And things have just been going really, really well. I've mentioned before that we landed Vaughn's Pavilion, and our business continues to expand there. And we're having our best month ever right now. Business has literally doubled. And with that, I've had so much interest in people that have wanted to invest and get involved any way they can. They love our business with a purpose, donating back a percentage of our sales to the orphanages. And they've asked to get involved, or they missed the capital raise. So if you want to own a small piece of Baja United, or maybe a larger piece, right now you can go to startengine.com, search Baja United Wines, and for a minimum investment of $100, you can buy some shares. They're $5 a share, so you'd get 20 shares for $100, or you can buy up to $100,000 worth of shares. So we would love to have your partnership. I love crowdfunding because I'll have a bunch of marketeers for the business, more people spreading the word, and it's really been kind of a test pilot for me to see the strength of marketing through crowdfunding, and we've seen the result of that in a short 8 months of launching this business. So again, startengine.com, check out Baja United Wines. You can invest and own some shares in this company, and I would love to have you, especially for input and sharing your knowledge on how we can grow a better business. And today is Tuesday, recording for tomorrow's show, Wednesday, when you hear this. Tomorrow night is the 4th annual Connor Penhall Memorial Cup. It's in the City of Industry, and it starts at 7 p.m. If you want to go to industryracing.com, it is some of the most incredible dirt bike racing. And what it is it's speedway, so it's circle track. These guys are on their sides the whole time, going really, really fast. And we interviewed Bruce Penhall, who used to be on the show Chips back in the 80s, a very popular show for those of us that were around for 80s television. And Bruce is one of the responsible people behind Speedway. He was a world 2-time champion. And it's just a good time. So if you're around and you want to support a good cause, hit up the 4th annual Connor Penhall Memorial Cup. From a business perspective, my 2 cents for the week is don't forget to have fun in anything you do. If you're not enjoying your job and your business that you're involved with, maybe you're in the wrong business. And I got to say, since I started this wine business with giving back and working in an industry that I've enjoyed so much, I'm really having a good time, sincerely. And a lot of you know, especially if you listen to my first show, that I stepped away from the tequila business, a company that I founded. I think at some point I wasn't having fun anymore, and it just became more like a job. And now that I'm working in the wine business, and it has a purpose with the orphanages, and it's an emerging market. We're on the cusp. I'm really having a good time, and I think that you need to evaluate, look at what you're doing, and make sure that you're enjoying your job. There's that old cliche line, if you love what you're doing, you'll never work another day in your life, and there's a lot of truth to that. And with that being said, I'm going to keep this intro about this short because I have one of the most interesting interviews coming up, and that is with my new friend. His name is Michael, and if you go on his Instagram page, it's Yo Michael. His last name's Lee. He's from Seattle, Washington. He's a small business owner, and you're going to learn a lot about his life. But what's most interesting, and I really hope that you want to listen, is that he was a professional yo-yo entertainer, I should say, for about 12 years. And he just has an incredible story. And I'm just looking forward to sharing that with you. So without further ado, let's jump right into my interview with Michael, Yo-Yo Michael Lee. Thank you. Okay, well, it doesn't get any better than this. Out on the patio in Big Bear. Glass of wine from Baja United, and I'm with my Spartan friend, Michael. Michael, how are we doing tonight?
Hey, Jim, I'm doing well.
We cannot complain about a thing, right?
We cannot. Wine in hand, the view, it's great to be in Big Bear.
There's still some snow out there, too, which is kind of cool. The kids really want to go play in that. So just a quick background for our listeners. I met you at a Spartan race, which was a Nevada race in Mesquite, Arizona.
Yeah.
And we were actually hitchhiking. My wife and I were hitchhiking out of the race, and you picked us up.
I did.
I love those.
Your poor wife was limping. She was limping. I'm like, oh, man, they need a ride.
She'd ran hard, so thank you for stopping. But, sometimes the best friendships are formed in the most random ways, right?
Yes.
I think we had a 5-minute ride with you, and we heard part of your story, and I said, I want to stay in touch with you, buddy.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be in Big Bear for the Spartan race tomorrow, and to go out there. And now we're competitors because you're in my age group,
Yes,
so that'll be fun.
You're my elder. You're 2 weeks older than me.
Oh yeah, I got you by 2, and you've reminded me of that already.
Yeah.
But when I met you and when I ran into you in Montana a couple weeks ago, you started telling me some of your background, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to have this guy on the podcast because your story is amazing. And I think what we just talked about pre-show is where do we start and stop with some of your stories, because you've had an incredible past all the way into present day. And I think that there's so many nuggets in there for our listeners that I want to talk about where it all started for you, high school into college, but let's work through your career and some of these things. So if you don't mind, tell us obviously you got out of high school. What happened after high school? Where'd you go from there?
Yeah.
And I don't mean obviously. I mean, some people don't get out of high school, but you graduate high school. Where do you go?
I graduated from high school. I grew up in the thriving metropolis of Chino, California. And when I grew up there, Chino used to be a dairy preserve. There were more cows in Chino than people when I was growing up in the late 70s. And when the wind blew right, you knew it. So
we knew over in Laverne that the wind was blowing from your town.
Yeah, that's right. And then the other thing Chino was famous for, besides cows, was its prisons. It's got a men's prison, a women's prison, and a juvenile correctional juvie.
Yeah.
Juvie. So Chino was your equal opportunity incarcerator as well. And I had nothing to do with the cows or the prisons, but I can tell you it's easy to be humble when you come from Chino.
Sure.
But it was a great place to grow up. I loved it. So I graduated, and I ended up going to a local college called Azusa Pacific University.
Yeah, great school.
Yeah, good school. Had a wonderful experience there. Went there all 4 years. But a unique thing happened when I was playing on the soccer team. And one day our coach came to us and he said, you guys aren't going to believe this, but I just got a call from the Duncan Toy Company, and our soccer coach was also the head of the phys ed department. And he said the Duncan Yo-Yo Company is trying to recruit 10 college students that they want to use for a big yo-yo marketing promotion that they're going to do throughout the Los Angeles basin next spring. And they're going to teach you how to do yo-yo tricks, teach you how to do these promotions, and I'm wondering if any of you guys are interested before I share this with the rest of the PE majors and things like that.
Yeah.
And I was the first one to raise my hand. I thought that I'll say yes to that.
You're the first guy to say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to ask you one thing because I know a little bit about your decision-making process prior to that, right?
Yeah.
So let's think about that. Here you went to Azusa Pacific.
Yes,
right?
That was a big change. I was enrolled to go to a different school before that. And
Yeah,
what
was that different school were you thinking about?
Well, I was thinking about going to Chico State, not Chino, but Chico State up in Northern California. And my reasons for going there were not the best reasons.
Yeah.
So it was a radical change to go from Chico State to Azusa Pacific, and one that was really life-altering now that I look back at it.
Yeah, and that I'm sorry to pry that out of you, but I think that's important to think about. Sometimes we make these decisions at the time. Your mind's telling you one thing, like, hey, I want to go to Chico, or in my day, everybody wanted to go to San Diego State, party town, Tijuana's right there, and let loose. But then sometimes, your inner soul says this might be a better route for you, right? It sounds like, with the Azusa Pacific was a great decision for you.
Well, it was, and if I can, I won't go too far into this tangent, but it was the beginning of my faith journey.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with a lot of faith, and I wanted to search out the claims of Jesus, the claims of Christianity for myself.
Yeah.
And I had a teacher at my high school who was a graduate from Azusa Pacific, and he was the coolest guy, just really genuine and kind and smart. And I ended up going to Azusa Pacific because of him.
Yeah, wow, wild.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry I diverted you off this yo-yo training session that you talked about. So please continue on the.
Yeah. So anyway, I spent the fall of my first year in college studying, of course, but then I was learning how to yo-yo. They trained me. I got paid to learn how to yo-yo. And later that spring, they unleashed the 10 of us to toy stores all over the greater LA basin, and I got paid to yo-yo. It was great.
That's pretty insane if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you say yo-yo, immediately you want to go, what? Did you just say yo-yo? Because that's not on the forefront of making money, right? But what I absolutely love about that is that it's an opportunity that came your way that you said yes to.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of opportunities like that out there in life just in general.
Mm-hmm.
If you really dig down, because if you can yo-yo and make money at it, there's got to be a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So pretty amazing. So here you were touring the toy stores, doing yo-yo demonstrations.
Yeah, and so my freshman year, that first year went really well, and I worked hard. I worked hard at it. I'm the son of a blue-collar worker, and I have one brother, and my dad taught us how to work hard, and I did. And the manager at the yo-yo company recognized that, and the yo-yo promotional work that we were all doing had a huge effect, and yo-yos became very popular, and the yo-yo companies started getting requests from other companies and organizations for yo-yo demonstrations. And the manager gave me the best opportunities because he knew I was reliable.
Yeah.
So I got a job working at Disneyland. I was part of a show at Disneyland doing yo-yo tricks. They had a 50s themed show at the time called Blast from the Past. This was back in the 80s. And I got to be in this show. So I was a cast member at Disneyland because of yo-yos. That was wild. And then the summer after my freshman year, they had a big yo-yo promotion out in Hawaii, and they flew me out there, and I was the yo-yo demonstrator for that. So I was 19 years old, getting paid $25 an hour in 1987 to play with yo-yos in Hawaii. That was my summer job. How about that?
That's living large.
That was better than waiting tables.
Wow. Let me ask you something, because I'm always curious about entertainers. I mean, really, that's what you were as an entertainer.
Yeah.
A professional behind the scenes. How do you make that mental switch? You're 19. I imagine you probably started it when you're 18.
Yes.
How do you make that mental switch from being basically a kid to here I am all of a sudden a professional entertainer with a craft?
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't, you weren't just telling jokes or all these. I mean, you had a craft, and thank you again tonight. You did some yo-yo work for my kids, which was absolutely amazing. I wish everybody could see that, but we're on a podcast. But man, you're an entertainer. How do you make that transition in your mind at such a young age?
Well, what's funny, Jim, is at the time I didn't see myself as an entertainer. I really didn't. I'm naturally inquisitive, and learning the yo-yos was fun, and I like to work hard. And by necessity, this entertainer part of my personality had to come out.
Right.
Because you're facing a different crowd at each show at the toy stores. And I learned how to adapt. And I thrived on that. You know, some people don't like that kind of